Let's get this rolling. Okay. Three, two, one. Okay, welcome back. We are finally on episode 4 of Grass Holes. We took a little hiatus there for a couple of weeks. We've been playing a lot of summer volleyball since then. And so now we're just going to kind of recap it all and then springboard into our July. So first up, 3 weekends ago, we had the Fresh Coast Champions Cup, hosted by our friend Tomas in Milwaukee. A super fun day, and I thought it brought a lot of really good volleyball players and a lot of good fans to Milwaukee. Chandler played in their Sunday qualifier. Alex was our super fan and our little investigative reporter there. So Alex, I'll just let you take it away and walk us through the Fresh Coast Champions Cup.
All right, so it was a very fun and packed tournament in terms of skill level. Not super optimal in terms of the amount of teams due to other tournaments clashing that same weekend. We had Pride Fest in Milwaukee, and for Wisconsinites, Chicks and Dicks was up north, so that kind of split the Wisconsin crowd. But ultimately, we had a good group of qualifier teams that played on Saturday, hoping to be the top 2 teams that make it through into Sunday to play against the auto bid teams that were brought to the tournament based on how they did in certain tournaments last year with their wins on the grass circuit. Wanted to mention real quick in the qualifier teams that Matt Pilch, Zach Solomon were the winners of Big Z. They picked up my friend Drew Riley, undersized outside, but can play with the best of them. Quinn Krisick and his squad, absolute legends. So the way that the format worked is if they were the top 1 or 2 teams that they would make it to the next day. They ended up making it, but then forfeiting because Quinn went to go golf. One of his teammates went out of town, and then the other one was busy as well. So that allowed Jake O, EJ, and Isaac Sageman to qualify for the next day. And then Isaac ended up not being able to play, so Matt Alton took his place.
Yeah, it's a
Sunday,
funny story behind that. I asked Quinn afterwards. I was like, "Wait, so you're not coming back? Do you know what kind of money's on the line? Do you know who you're playing? It's going to be awesome." Like, yeah, we had no chance. I never thought we had a chance. I was like, "You guys are ballers." Anthony, Sean, Quinn, and you guys didn't think you have a chance? Crazy.
these guys are multiple time boat ride winners, by the way. So Drew and I actually lost to them last year. They ended up winning our division. And then Quinn is always like, "Oh yeah, we're never gonna do well," and they are just a very strong and solid team. So I don't get where he gets that from. Just
I
Are we
love
allowed
that
to
way
for
too
use the
him.
humble.
term sandbaggers?
Oh, absolutely. I would stamp that on his forehead,
Oh my God.
but it's fine. So Saturday rolling to Sunday, it kind of went as expected. The qualifier teams fell early to the auto bid teams. I think the closest sets were with Zach, Matt, and Drew. They had a close round with actually Tomas's team. They went 3. I think just the experience and chemistry at the end of the day kind of drove Tomas's team over the edge, and their composure and willingness to know that they can battle back and kind of knowing how to come back and handle leads. And then going into the finals, it was actually an out of town team, the East Coasters, with Ian Cap and Nate Miller. Their usual third is Matt Elias, but he ended up being sick that tournament. So Mike Mikolau, one of the local boys, ended up filling in for them. But it was just interesting to note that they were all kind of off rolled because Elias is usually their setter. So Ian Cap ended up setting, who's usually their right side or opposite hitter. And then Nate Miller, who's usually their outside, ended up playing right side so that Mikolau could play outside. And despite all of that, they ended up still beating Tomas, Skylar, and Nolan in the finals. But 9-5, I was there the whole day. It was just electric matches the entire day. You weren't bored for a second. The weather was nice. It was just honestly a perfect Sunday. And the tournament hopefully comes back next year. And I would recommend, even if you don't come play Saturday, just free up your Sunday to come watch the highest level of volleyball that our area kind of provides besides boat ride.
Like,
Oh
there
my
was a
God.
DJ, there were drinks being poured, there were fans. I mean, the talent, like every single game, just being that main draw Sunday, the guys came to play. Like, it's pool play, and the guys came to play. it was so fun to be a part of and so fun to watch. Kudos to Tomas for hooking that up, for Rob St. Clair announcing, for
Yes.
the live stream crew that helped, all the logistics. It's all those little things that come together to make an awesome event. So thanks to those who traveled and all who set that up.
I think
Yeah,
that so
go
I
ahead.
didn't go, I wasn't there on Sunday, but I was literally like live streaming every single game, and having like Rob St. Clair like as the announcer just added such a better element to it than just like watching a YouTube video. Like he was fun, it was engaging. Like if you weren't familiar with the players, like he was constantly calling them out. So I think he did a really good job, and I actually really think that made me watch more games than I was planning to. So shout out Rob.
Yeah, I have two more shout outs. Just the whole Moss Volley crew. So if you guys don't know, Moss Volley is Moss's brand, so he's trying to spread awareness. He runs leagues in our area. He has his own apparel. He does clinics and stuff for the youths and adults around our area. So Amanda Yenter, Carly, and everyone else did a great job of helping with net, like setup, takedown. There were raffles throughout the day. There were like halftime shows or activities to do. So there was a skyball competition. I was chose to judge and referee instead of participate, so that's fine. And then there was a serving competition. You could win AVP America gear or Slunks gear if you hit things correctly. I got a hat. Me and Wes Lynch, only people to get hats. And then my final shout out would be for Ian Cap, who was he told me he hadn't set in an actual tournament like in over 2 years, and he did a stellar job fixing passes, and he was just an animal from the line. So he had service pressure all day, and I
MVP.
want to shout him out. Yep, absolute MVP. So, Mandy, women's side.
Well, I'll just say this is that it was a small women's tournament, regardless of how many teams were there. Lindsay, Casper, Becca Romke, and I came out on top. Hopefully, yep, that's right. And I would like to point out that we were the first ever Fresh Coast Champion Cup winners. So hopefully next year, like they can get more women's teams there and make it more like the men's. I think it's just would be good exposure for like some of the high level women's players as well. So, but it was tough for scheduling. So I would play in it again next year. I thought it was just super fun, just a fun atmosphere overall. So a good day.
Alrighty, next tournament, MSOE.
Yeah.
So this was a tournament run by the Milwaukee School of Engineering, which is a local college in Milwaukee, right in the middle of downtown, run by Shane Reed and Jake O, who ran the tournament along with their players on the team. So it is a fundraiser tournament for the Milwaukee School of Engineering boys volleyball or men's volleyball program. And also it's a great tournament on their turf field. So a little bit different than traditional grass, but also different in the sense that they offer two kind of tournament formats on the weekend, and they also provide like food and drinks throughout the entire weekend, which is very cool. So Friday night was the high-low, which is a format where you play one set on a men's net and one set on a women's net. So on the women's side, it's just they just set block attack, or they block and attack, and the guys have to set and play defense, not allowed to leave the ground. And then on the men's side, it's traditional co-ed where anyone can attack and everyone can do everything. Our very own Chandler North ended up being the winner in the finals. Ari Newmeyer was the MVP, voted teammates. For Angelos, you need to figure your shit out because you need to stop being hurt and cramping and doing all that
you're
kind of
not doing
stuff.
that. You're not
Your back exploded at Big Z.
For Ari. So Amy starts cramping and she's a phenomenal blocker, phenomenal hitter, and we're trying to set her as much as we can throughout the pool play, and all of a sudden Ari has to take the girls' game solo, and it's just like setting outside. She was balling out.
Yeah, you guys can recap watching her ball out. The finals were filmed, so you can guys go check out Chandler's YouTube channel later on. Quick shout out, stop being a baby. There's no such thing as jinxes. Be better.
Wait,
Thank you.
stop. You're not supposed to say his name. I told him we would refer to him as he who shall not be named.
It's too late.
Just bleep it out. Do you know the bleep?
Yeah, probably.
we'll put a Voldemort face over. It'll be perfect. Chandler, do you want to talk a little bit about how the day went?
Yeah, so Saturday triples, they fit 25 courts, I think, up on the turf field, and the tournament it's just been growing and growing. So for the guys' side, they did pools of five, which made for a very, very long day. Pools of five on one court. I think the semis started at like 9:35 and the finals didn't start till 11 p.m. So you think of a 14, 15-hour day, and it kind of had all elements. So in the middle of the day, it was really hot. The turf pellets warmed up real warm. So it became real speedy. Most of the balls were overinflated. Most people don't. Here's the pro tip of the day: bring a pump, preferably an electronic one that can give you a PSI reading. So when the ball gets caught out in the sun or it's really warm out, you take out a little bit of air, and then at the end of the night, it got to like 50 degrees and super windy, and it checked the PSI and it's way different, and the ball plays way different. You just get it right back up to that perfect 3.2 sweet spot for every single game.
I'm literally going to order an electric little air pump from Amazon tonight.
$20.
Even better.
You'll have it this weekend. Yeah, so a couple things to highlight throughout the day. Really good matches throughout. It was almost such good matches that in like one of the round of 16, round of 8, some of them went really far ahead in timing, but then other matches were just so good. They're going into extra points. They're going 3 that certain parts of the bracket fell behind. I think Bob Hall made the quarterfinals and was just a one-man wrecking crew. I think Quinn Krisick and his same squad from Fresh Coast made the semis. We got to give a shout out to Jake Hines here to get well soon. A tragic injury. I heard he was practicing for some co-ed soccer league that he's trying to get ready for and just took a tumble. So wishing all the best to Jake. But all in all, just a great day, some really good volleyball. And I think the kudos goes to the MSOE crew for, again, organizing a full weekend of activities. They did Friday, Saturday, and I think a smaller event on Sunday as well this year. So kudos to them for a great weekend.
Tyler and Chandler and Patrick Beezer, even though Chandler's too humble to say it, the repeat for the boys, the dive boys. Expert in wind, I would say the wind picked up, as Chandler mentioned, it was 30 degrees colder from midday to the finals. So
yeah,
kind
I
of
mean, realistically, down the stretch, it played really well to our favor between Tyler. I think Tyler's the best player when it comes to win. Just the ball control is unmatched. And then Pat's kind of the same way, from serving to just being so speedy on the court. Like, as a win team gets, that's as good as a win team as there is in the Midwest. Get gale force wins, and it just plays to our advantage. So you can kind of see that down the stretch, and I tried to record as much as I could, so you can check out some of that on my YouTube. What about the women's side? I know we had some awesome matches on that side, and some VLA team coming in strong down the stretch as well.
Yeah, so there were representatives for both the Midwest Magic and the Embers throughout the day. There were strong matches across the board, but ultimately it was the Midwest Magic crew who ended up taking it all. My question proposed to Kimmy, Rachel, and Hannah is it their indoor game that brings success to the grass, or is it their grass game that helps them succeed in indoor? So I'm gonna try to get their answers and kind of reshare on our Instagram. Hopefully they'll share their words with me. But they, again, the veteran experience and kind of being able to use that speed of the turf that like kind of plays like indoor on the grass, I feel like kind of did them a solid, especially with Hannah's game being just a very dominant outside on both the indoor and grass game. So
How tall is Hannah? Because for being like over like 6 foot, she is also scrappy, as I don't want to swear, but like scrappy AF. Like just being able to pick up balls that you're like, oh, like that's like a libero ball, and she just like flips it up. Like phenomenal, like offensive player, but like also watching her play defense, like she just gets low for how tall she is. I'm so impressed. I need to take notes.
Yeah, I think she has both sand, indoor, and grass experience. She's just a baller in any element on any surface. Shout out Hannah Murdoch.
Yeah,
Over to Circle Tap this past weekend.
let's do it.
Circle Tap, a mainstay in Wisconsin volleyball, up in Denmark, Wisconsin. Relative to all the weather it's used to having, a very mild tournament, I'd say. No
Wait,
flooding, no
X
tornado.
this year
What's up?
though, the air quality. I must
Okay,
have weak
of
ass.
all the things to be sad about, okay, I lived in Beijing, so like that, I was
Okay.
breathing in quality air. No problem there. But I guess for everyone else, it was kind of bad air quality, but we managed. So about Circle Tap, it's a little bit different than every other tournament in Wisconsin, and throughout the summer. It's side out scoring, so it means you have to serve to score. So you have to turn points, whether it's on serve, on block, or you have to get a dig and then a kill. So it allows players to serve a lot more aggressively without being punished for giving out their serve. And so it creates long game scenarios. Shout out my pool. I think it was David Waltz and Brandon Schmitz. Their one set took easily like an hour. So I was in the bar eating dinner or eating my lunch and just watching the game for a very extremely long time. Ordered my food, ate my food, got a couple drinks, and they were still playing. So that's super fun. But yeah, that's what makes it a little bit different. Mandy, you want to talk about the venue?
It's just like an incredible venue. So like someone that like I grew up like around country bars or whatnot, like I just like love going to Denmark because it just feels like home. It is just like in the middle of nowhere. The drinks are cheap. Like they had a live band on Saturday night that was so much fun. A lot of like the volleyball community like stuck around on Saturday. And like the staff there, like gosh, I think I made friends with like 4 or 5 of the bartenders that weekend because like they're just like so chatty and like they like were just so much fun. So I think that like Circle Tap is like one of the best venues and like it's one of the best tournaments because it's such a great venue. Um, it's really just a random softball field in the middle of Denmark, Wisconsin, but it is like one of my favorite like venues, one of my favorite bars. I think it's a top 3 bar for me. I have nothing but good memories from there if I remember what was going on.
Yeah, it's
So
a phenomenal
And
bar. It's so much fun. And this was the first year that they didn't have karaoke. They brought a live band in instead. But from the amount of players that stick around afterwards just to hang out and be together, and it's usually a tournament that goes to like midnight. So you only get like 2 hours together, and it's the wee hours of the night. But this year, they had to they spaced out the courts a little differently and capped it so that there was more space on the court. And it wrapped up at a reasonable time. I don't know if anyone caught a time, but my guess would have been like 7:30. There's still plenty of sun left, and
couldn't tell you.
made for a whole night of festivities afterwards.
Yeah. Wait, they used to
yeah,
have
so
karaoke? Oh,
They
oh,
used to. I mean, my heart was broken.
I okay, I loved the live band, but if they would have had like 30 minutes of karaoke on the stage and then the live band, I would have been the best night of my life
you had a
next
pretty good
year.
night, that's all I'm gonna say. Mandy was gone, guys.
I
You
was
ever want to
having
hoot at the next tournament, come talk to Mandy after she's had a couple
Get her a Long Island and we'll have a
or
great time.
6.
Alex, should
honestly,
we recap kind of the results on the men's side? Maybe I'll start with like the bracket. So it was 20 teams, 5 pools of 4. They took the top 3 of each pool, so it was 15 teams up. And we'll flash a picture of the bracket as it was quite mysterious. They had 9 teams on one side of the bracket, 6 teams on the other, and they kicked 4 teams into the round of 32. So they had to play 2 extra rounds basically. And it's not like they were the teams that took last or were the lowest seeds. It was very mysterious and questioned by some of the more experienced players. But you roll the dice, throw it in a blender when it comes to these reseed tournaments, and how it shakes out is how it shakes out. So there were some really, really competitive matches early on. And from a results standpoint, Alex, do you want to kind of recap how it shook loose?
So ultimately, your early quarterfinal against a team that some would predict to be at least a semifinal team in Bob Hall, Mike Smolinski, and Mike McLeod. Definitely a team that everyone on the grass circuit should recognize by name, and seeing them in person.
I
They
think they've
had
won that tournament probably 3 times, and Bob and Mike Smolinski have probably won that one 3 more times before they started playing with McLeod. So that tournament fits them well. And Mike had shoulder problems, and then in our match against Bob in the quarterfinals, he landed awkwardly on his left shoulder, so he could no longer spike lefty. So you'll see it. You can watch it on my YouTube. But he switched over and he just started jump serving righty, ripping jump serves righty, swinging righty. It's
Wait,
unbelievable. The man is a superstar.
he jump served with his right hand.
Yep.
Mandy, it was incredible. This man can serve and hit harder with his off non-dominant hand than many players that I know can hit with their normal hand. It is
Facts for sure.
disgusting. And he
That's
was like,
freaking
and these were
incredible.
not just like janky wild serves. Like he was like sideline, like hitting, pegging people high, just wild.
I
Uh,
respect
so that
it.
was, yeah. So that was an early round team that the blender fell victim to. But funneling towards the end, it was the semis were Chandler, Chandler's team against Tomas, Matt Awesome, and Evan. And then on the other side, it was Travis Hudson, EJ, and Cody Fiorito against AJ Moriarty, Tommy Moriarty, and I mean, he
4
who
really
will
strong teams. I mean, the
not be named.
talent Circle Tap always has a good showing from a talent perspective.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say if you guys check out Chandler's YouTube channel later, if you go ahead and watch the semis for the men's side with his team against Tomas's team. So it was Tomas, Matt Awesome, Evan Solomon against Tyler Wills, Chandler North, and Max Martin. Max and Tomas were former AVP. They have played and qualified in AVP tournaments together, seeing each other on different sides of the net. This past weekend, the match was chirpy and got a little heated.
Get your popcorn ready.
As to be
Yes,
expected. As to be expected.
27 minutes of absolute wild, high level competition, high emotion, high energy. Definitely check it out. I just want to shout out Evan Solomon for just his the way he handles himself and like the showmanship on the court, and like he just wears his heart on his sleeve. He'll just tell you exactly how he's feeling, whether the people that he plays against can handle that or not. It's kind of like a toss up. He kind of plays that game where it's like, will he poke the bear and make it worse for himself, or will he kind of like start to chip away at like give them something else to think about while they're playing? So that's just something very cool to watch. And Tomas, we mentioned him in our episode that we filmed with him, that like him in the clutch and like his just mentality and his will to win kind of carried them throughout that semifinal. They came back to close their semifinal, and then so they qualified for the final, and then it was Travis against the Moriartys, and Travis's team ended up taking it away against the Moriartys. Again, apparently I jinxed them, so that's on me. But Chandler's former boat ride team, so remove Chandler, plug in Cody Fiorito, which moves Travis, who we usually set for that team, to hit outside. So just a completely different look for a boat ride team that you'll see this summer. They did extremely well. Ended up running into Tomas, Evan, and Matt in the finals, and unfortunately ended up losing their pretty substantial lead. I think they were up maybe like 0-6 or something in that first set.
Yeah, at least.
Uh, Yep, and then the boys rally, and then the Moss Valley crew ended up rallying back, and then they just kept chipping away in that second set, and then they ended up closing it out. So,
Yeah, they had
Tomas,
some
Evan,
ridiculous yeah, Moss Valley team had some ridiculous comebacks. We had them 10-5 in the first game, and they had fought off maybe 17, 18 set points in terms of clean side outs. That's like
That's incredible.
an entire normal scoring game of perfect side out. And came back and took the first one from us. And they did almost the same to Travis in the finals. And I think the old school scoring allows for those comebacks to happen. You know, if you side out, you're always going to have a chance. You'll live to fight another day. And you saw that same type of comeback on the women's side as well. So, Alex, did you have any other comments on the men's side before flipping to the women's recap?
nothing that I could say could kind of make it better than watching the games themselves. So seriously, guys, go check out Chandler's channel and watch the game. It's totally worth it. It's a very cool format, and you can kind of see how, as long as you are able to side out and you have that tenacity and that fight, like it's never over until it's actually over. So go ahead and check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think on the women's side, like I didn't watch the men's final because I was watching the women's final because it was some of the
Most people
best.
were watching the women's.
Yes, and it's because it was some of the best volleyball, like from like not saying that the women's side doesn't have good volleyball week in and weekend out, but like this was like competitive high level volleyball from both teams. So like Kimmy, Rachel, Melissa, and Courtney were on a team, and then it was Bree, Lauren, Lindsay, and Natalie on the
Natalie.
other side. And so just like two phenomenally like well put together teams, and like you could just tell like both teams were fired up, like both teams were competitive about it, both teams really wanted that win. And like that it went to 3 games, and like 3 games and like side out scoring, it can make for a long championship game. I would be very curious to see, if you like go back and watch the film, if you rally score it, what that game looks like. Like I don't know how to do the math, and I couldn't do the math in the moment, but just I would be very curious to see what the actual score shows up on a rally score, and like what it would have showed up on like side out.
Yeah.
Kimmy's squad was down 6-0 or 0-6, and then 5-10 in game 3, and
In a game to 11,
in a game to
down 5
11.
to 10.
So like you have to like fend off, like they fended off so many game points, and like just had really good ball control, good side out, good serving to like come back and win that. Like I think that just like shows like they have been in these high level situations before. They have played in these like high level tournaments. They've kept their cool. They didn't get like antsy about it. It was just like so gritty. Like there was one play where Kimmy literally had 4 digs in a row. Like they just kept hitting the ball straight at her. And like you have to give her props because like she played a phenomenal game. And like I also thought like Natalie Guidell on the other side of the net had like a phenomenal like blocking game for the other team, and just like really turned points for them as well. So
Lindsay Casper's serve.
oh my gosh, yeah, she caught so many people on that serve. I just think like it was such a fun game to watch. So definitely we
Yeah,
have
Mandy, what's your take on the fours? So
I love
you have an
fours.
extra person out there.
Okay, so this is why I think fours is phenomenal for me personally, but just for like women's volleyball as well, is that it creates like longer rallies for women's volleyball. Um, I think that it brings more women into the game. Um, and as somebody that loves to play outside, but maybe doesn't play high level outside defense, I don't have to worry about hard hits off my like shoulder because there's usually a libero right behind me to pick that up. But I still think in like quads, you get like you get a lot of touches. You still have to be smart with the ball, like to put it away or like swing hard. Um, I like quads more than I like triples, and I will honestly
Yeah.
die on that hill.
Yeah,
Especially for
from a
women.
visual standpoint, the fours, I don't know if it's an element of rallies or it's more natural and closer to how girls have played. It's closer to sixes, and that you maybe have a true libero or a true passer, and maybe you're more in system and not having to cover some crazy amount of space. But from a product perspective, it's so much fun to watch. So I'd kind of support your angle of it brings in more roles, more players, and just kind of a better product. And that's one weekend that I get to review that in. But awesome stuff.
I totally agree with you that like I feel like men do out of system plays a lot more aggressively than women. And in triples, there's just so many out of system plays that like typically instead of going for like an aggressive swing, you're just going for like your placement, which like duh, get your points. But like it does make for like more appealing to the crowd for volleyball when you can go up there and like just crush a ball because you're more likely to be in system with fours. Personal opinion, and I really like that format so much more. Side
Yeah.
out scoring, I don't know how I feel about it. I I I think I am just so used to rally scoring that sometimes I struggle to keep score on side out, but it's fun. It takes like it's just a different element. It's a different way to play volleyball. So I don't really have any qualms with it.
Yeah.
I just have a shout out for Melissa Rigo. She was the outside for Kimmy, Rachel, and Courtney's team. She's an absolute baller coming from the East Coast. I've actually had the privilege to become friends with her and play in a tournament with her before. She's also an outside for the Northeast Force on the VLA team. Chandler talked about how team composition is important and in a previous episode. And for Melissa and Rachel and Kimmy and Courtney, I think she was a great pickup for them. Besides side out scoring, one thing we forgot to mention is that you're not allowed to hand pass and serve receive. So that kind of aspect of the game kind of changes it for a lot
Yes.
of players in a passing role. So platform. Melissa plays a lot of grass doubles, a lot of beach. So she's kind of used to being comfortable with her platform. So I think that was like a huge draw for them to kind of bring her over from the East Coast, and she balled out as she usually does. So I was super happy to see her success. And it kind of goes to show how formatting and team composition matters a lot. So just wanted to touch on that before we switch over.
Yeah. I also Chandler had mentioned in an earlier episode that like at this tournament, you will get some people on your float serve when you aim for their hands. And it's just like natural instinct to put them up and take the float with your hands. And you couldn't do that this weekend. So like I definitely saw it like on the like it did turn points for some people on the women's side. I was very proud of myself because I did not use my hands once this weekend. And that's usually how I serve receive. So big steps.
Well done. Well done. All right, should we move forward to kind of what's ahead here? So this weekend, I am traveling out to Pottstown, Pennsylvania. So that's an AVP grass event, kind of the boat ride of the East Coast. The big event is doubles. So women's doubles goes Friday, Saturday. So they get the main court pretty much most of Saturday. And then men's pro goes Saturday, Sunday, and gets the beaten up court on Sunday. Huge payouts, awesome tournament. They do triples on Friday, so hopefully I'm hoping my body can hold up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Awesome event, and live stream on the stadium court will be set up. So check it out. I'll be grabbing some film as well. If you're looking at the bucket list items in terms of tournaments to get out to, highly recommend getting out to Pottstown at least once in your playing career, just because it's got that feel of boat ride, that like hype around it of everyone on the East Coast, and all this excitement from people traveling from all over. And it's different. The doubles is the big format. Back home here in Wisconsin, a big Strike Memorial Tournament in Mandy's hometown tournament. So will be really cool. Always a good time up at the bar. Get the hot beef if you go. Then on Sunday, or I guess another one on Saturday, is in Milwaukee. Triples Fest, the tournament for Marquette as a fundraiser. I think Players Sport is still associated with that. Usually a really cool spot along the lake. in Milwaukee. So you get some winds right off the lake, and it's usually nice to have that just in terms of how hot some of the summer days can get. And then there's also a tournament on Sunday, so a chance to go back to back and play two events here, Saturday and Sunday, on in Grafton for IM Volleyball, the Grass Bash. Say that 10 times fast. But what's kind of cool and unique about that one is they provide muffins and treats and Gatorades in the morning, and then they bring in a pizza for each team, and they kind of make sure they take care of you. In the park is really well spaced out, so you're not crammed in, and you got a very large event, and you actually have space between the nets. So really well run, awesome event, and a really cool opportunity to play both Saturday and Sunday here in the state of Wisconsin.
Unique prizes for Triples Bash in Grafton. They that IM Volleyball Club is sponsored, or they work with Lululemon. So that's actually how the Lululemon team is
Oh
formed.
my
So
God, I
shout
love
out
that.
Danny, Ree, and Brooke for being the Lulu team and sandbagging for the backpacks. So that's how that whole meme was formed.
Anything for Lulu.
Right.
Can you blame
All
them?
right. No, I cannot. Drew and I actually won some backpacks a couple years ago, so there's that. July 1st, I heard there's a very cool tournament going on in Oconomowoc.
Oconomowoc, come to the hometown. I'm running the Big C, year 4 of it, I believe. Really cool spot. Usually just a chance to get used to the 1 to 30s that boat ride does. So pool play, we always do 1 to 30. And then I get a bunch of nets so that we can double up during pool play as well. So you don't have to sit or rest in the morning. Usually a quicker event, get out of there in the late afternoon. And then in Oconomowoc, there's all nice restaurants downtown. There's a public beach. So a lot of times, a lot of the players will make their way into Lac La Belle, go for a quick swim, and then hang out at the bars afterwards. So super cool. Hope to see many of you there. I know the signups are still coming in. I think I'm at 10 women's teams and like 18 men's teams. So still plenty of space, and hit me up if you want to join.
The drink of the day will be Long Island's.
Yes, sponsored by Long Island Iced Teas.
Rumor has it Chandler's hot take might actually come true with the country music, so just stay
Yeah.
tuned if you are going. Just saying.
Yep. And then the weekend after, some small tournament up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Not sure if you've ever heard about it. Wapaka Boat Ride. So some inside scoop from our numbers guys. We have some connections, over 2,000 teams on the weekend and over 6,500 athletes coming into town for the week of festivities at Wapaka Boat Ride.
Insane. Like the fact that this is like Brighton Acres is like a little wedding venue in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. No hate on Oshkosh, but like Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and they're bringing in over 6,000 like that's just people that are signed up to play. That's not people that are coming just to have fun and watch. Like just blows my mind how big this tournament is, and like there's still a week left to register. So like I think they're going to go more than 700 or 7,000.
Yeah.
It's volleyball Christmas, guys. Whether you are a fan of the sport, a player, if you're an adult listening, they have youth clinics, so you can sign up your kids, kind of learn from the best of the best in our area. And also there are going to be players that are from out of the state that are coming to kind of do camps as well. So that's a Thursday, Friday type deal. Friday, there's events for sand. So there's AVP qualification endpoints there. There are normal co-ed quads on Friday. For grass, they have triples on Saturdays, the big one there, and then they have grass doubles, whether it's co-ed or same sex, as well as peer and power reverse on Sunday. So there is a format for everyone. With the induction of the BBB division, there is a division for everyone. So get there. Saturday's the big day you want to be there. Just a sea of volleyball players, skills varying from brand new to the highest level of grass that there is in the world, I'd say. And then the big shenanigans at the end of the day is coming in to watch the open finals, both the men and women's side, trotted up into the barn, packed stands. So it's definitely, again, another bucket list item for all volleyball players out there, whether you've played grass before or you just are just a fan of the game or just want to come party really hard. You could know nothing about volleyball. The volleyball community is very welcoming in that sense. Everyone's there to have a good time. So make sure to come out July 8th weekend for a boat ride. There's an event for everybody. So we'd love to see you there.
Yeah, I think it's like one of the most unique opportunities for a volleyball player as well, because you literally could meet like professional volleyball players and it's just like the most casual, low key thing. Like I met Taryn Cloth and Kristen Nuss the year that they won the AVP event there. And they were just like casually, we were all just like drinking together at the bar. And like now they're probably going to go on and qualify for the Olympics and like hopefully win a gold medal. And like it was just so cool getting the opportunity to like chat with them. And like there are just so many like high level professional players there that you just like everybody is really just this one big community and one big family. So I just think it's
Also, if
super
you're
cool.
listening to this, it's obviously a grass oriented podcast, but for those like sand enthusiasts, a lot of those teams that like don't always make the main draw, like there's going to be plenty of players that you'll recognize if you follow the AVP tour for like qualification. And it's very cool because some of them will go from the sand into the grass, and you can see kind of see how their game translates and see like how physical they can really be when they get their full like athleticism behind them. So even if you're more in it for sand volleyball, like there's a place, and it's very cool for like you to be able to like kind of watch the sand finals on that Friday night leading into Saturday. So really, anyone that enjoys volleyball to like any degree, be there. It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one more random take to share about boat ride. So one of the things that I was kind of holding secret up until now is that I want to record the men's Masters final. I think it's awesome. If you've never seen the
Yay.
Masters, it's legends of the game. People who won these tournaments 20 years ago still got game. And then the adrenaline that comes in the one time a year that maybe they get back out there. So cool to watch. So one of my goals this year for Boat Ride is to get some film of a Masters game to show off to others how cool it really is that these guys can still play it.
I love that. I
Yeah, we'll
want to play
see if
Masters.
I think Rick Hoff, Dan Brandenburg, Justin Schnorr, local guys to Milwaukee ended up winning it last year. So we'll see if they protect the crown or if it'll be someone new this year. I'll go follow you around for when we go watch the Masters final.
I love that. Well, kind of speaking about boat ride is that, and this kind of shifts into our next little segment, is that we got some Instagram DMs of just some like basic questions about like grass volleyball in general. And like one of the questions was like, how do I find a team for boat ride? So obviously boat ride is one of the best marketed grass volleyball tournaments. But I think that there are certain, you have to go into it with like, what's your expectation of boat ride? So like, are you trying to go there to have fun? Are you trying to go there to win? Like, are you playing with people you vibe with or like people you like have a strategy with or whatnot? I've done it a couple of different ways. So like the first year I played boat ride, like I had no clue what to expect. And I think I played in like the A division. So I just picked like for vibes and camped out and had a great time. But Alex and Chandler, wondering like what you guys would say for like, how do you find a team for a boat ride?
I'll start. I think it's really dependent on what your objective there is, right? So if you're there to compete and do your best, obviously, just a standard triples team that you think is your best strategy. Like again, we talked about grass strategy in terms of if it's just all ball control and like service pressure, or if you're just a very good side out team that will get an ace here or there if you're not really that good at defense. Um, Obviously, if you can get your best match team together, you're probably gonna have the most success. Also, it can be a long day because there's so many teams. So like the cool down warm up period does play a toll. So if you're trying to make a team with some really high energy short burst teams, they probably won't make it through the whole day. So just like something to like be concerned about, like conditioning and staying hydrated, making good decisions about what you're drinking to make it throughout the day kind of matters. So, but ultimately, it again, volleyball Christmas, you're there to like meet, like see people, hang out with people. So it is very cool to win a pack a boat ride, but I think going into it realistically, you should know if your team has a chance to compete in your division, then like go for it. Like make good choices, like hydrate, do what you need to do. But if you're just there to have fun with your friends, play in the tournament because it's like the biggest grass tournament in the world, just enjoy the vibe, kind of do that. Then play with people that you want to play with, and then as soon as you're done, you can pack up your stuff, head back to your Airbnb or campsite, shower, come back, and just have a great time the rest of the day. So I think it's just really important for you to decide what you want out of it. And then there's no wrong answer for a team that you're gonna make. But if you're there to compete and to like push to like make those final rounds, make your teams early because each year, I swear, almost like 2 weeks after boat ride's over, people are already starting to think about next year. So my advice for people going forward after this year, since it's very close to the deadline now, make sure you have what you want in mind. Obviously, teams change, situations, XYZ. People have weddings. Although, if anyone ever puts a wedding on boat ride, I'm not going.
Same.
But
All my friends right now, I will
things
not go to your
change,
wedding.
so just plan ahead. Correct. So it's that important, guys. Be there. That's my takeaway for how to make teams. Ask early to compete at your highest level, and if not, vibes, 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 vibes. Have fun. Enjoy the environment. Go get a seat early for the open finals, and just have a blast. Be safe.
Yeah. Maybe some things I'd add, especially if you're new to it, is one, organize what you're doing at the end of the night. So like being safe and having a driver or camping out and having like that
Yes.
is so
Yes,
cool
yes,
because
yes.
where you're staying or who you're staying with is kind of who you're going to drink with or party with afterwards. So I highly recommend camping. It's awesome party scenes and just then you're kind of taken care of like, okay, this guy has a tent. It's going to be 5 of us or 10 of us coming back to the tent after we're all done playing. We'll share stories of the day. We'll hang out. We'll party, and then you don't have to worry about things on the back end. If you don't have that arranged, usually the day's kind of stressing. You might be distracted while you're playing volleyball. So setting up who you want to hang with afterwards, and it doesn't necessarily have to be your team. But that arrangement I think is so important. And how Alex is talking about like vibes, I think it's so much cooler when the team you just went to war with on the court is that same team you're partying with. So I kind of default the same with him as to if ever in doubt, go with your friends and who you want to hang out with for the day because it's a very social environment and super fun. Like the watching a volleyball down the stretch, the bands and the parties afterwards can make it an awesome game. And I think the last recommendation I'd have from finding a team is being such a social event. You can kind of put strategic thought 2 years ahead of like, hey, I might be playing A now, but I kind of want to play double A. And in order to play double A, these are a couple of people I think I might pair really well with. So you might not be paired with them this year, but you can use the super social environment after the tournament or whatnot throughout the day to kind of say, hey, would you be interested in playing a tournament with me? And then using the rest of the summer to make the most of those opportunities. So there's many more tournaments throughout the year, and if you get a chance to play and you fit well on the court or you find a new friend from it, then maybe you can squad up with them for something like a boat ride the next year around. So don't be shy in terms of asking those field questions or asking about events for the rest of the summer here.
A great way to break the
Last
ice if you're 21 plus, 21 plus, is be like, OMG, I'll buy you a drink. I don't know, worked for me on one of my boat ride teams, so just throwing free advice out there.
gonna tack on to what Chandler said briefly. For boat ride, it's like a thing that happens every year. People slide it out in their calendars, and it's just like that's boat ride weekend. Always just like the weekend after July 4th. It's also a good metric for volleyball players that are looking to grow and improve. My first tournament, I was in double B. I got picked up. I didn't even play volleyball. I was just randomly watching my friends that played volleyball. So that was kind of my starting ground. And now I'm doing double A this year. So it's kind of a good metric to kind of show your growth as a player. And also like it gives you a goal to like push yourself towards. So like you said, if your intention is to keep improving as a volleyball player, or even with that same group, as like your level kind of at least slowly pushes, you guys can keep trying out different divisions. So I think it's a great way to kind of both have fun and also kind of show your growth. So
Yeah, I completely agree. This is going to be my first year playing open. So we put together a team based off of our strengths. So shout out to Lindsay Casper and Kaylee Erdman. We're going to try to run it and see what happens. And I'm very excited about it. So good vibes.
Yeah,
good
that'll be
vibes.
fun.
Okay, another DM that we got is people are struggling to find like the more like local tournaments, like the grass tournaments, and they just kind of want to know like with all these new tournaments being added or all these like staple tournaments that we constantly talk about, how do they find them?
I got two things. One, for you youngins out there who maybe aren't on Facebook, most of the events are on Facebook. So you can find, and then as your friends are selecting that, yes, I'm going to this event, you might get the notification, or a lot of the groups get just the events posted into them. So Facebook is a great way to find tournaments, and you might have to create a profile. The other thing is just not be hesitant to ask. So like people that you've played with before, you've seen at tournaments, be like, hey, where are you playing? Like, I'm trying to play 2 weeks from now. If there's an event, like what's the sitch? Where is it at? How do I sign up? And asking those questions, texting people that you know play. Maybe you're in a league with someone, and you know people who play at tournaments at those leagues. Don't be afraid to ask. And once you get in, you'll find out that it's like an every weekend thing in Wisconsin. So if you can't find a tournament on a certain weekend, there's probably one out there. You just gotta ask around and look a little bit.
yeah, I offer myself as tribute. I make a list both in summer and winter of volleyball tournaments that are coming up. I had a list start from January 2021, like went through all the way to 22 with no breaks except for Christmas. So throughout the year, like there are things to do. So ask people. Brad Schultz, I believe, makes the tournament list every summer. But just ask questions like Chandler said. Like there are people like me, like Brad, that like, have like that master list. We kind of plug in tournaments that we hear about, whether it's outside of Wisconsin, like Marshall's, like in Kentucky, they're having a tournament one weekend, but like we know about it through like the grapevine. And and actually some of these tournaments have X amount of slots, so you have to like get in there early. So being in the know of like this event usually releases at this date, or they'll be like, look out for our post saying that we're gonna release team registrations this date, and then you're just like sitting on your phone waiting for that minute to click, and then you're just like spot. So it sucks. Get a Facebook. That's the best way to do it. Ask questions like Chandler said. So
Yeah, and I guess like if you guys have any other questions, feel free to DM the Instagram. If you have fun highlights, tag us in them. We'd love to share your content as well and just kind of uplift everybody as a whole. But I think that kind of wraps up our episode number 4. And then I'll just leave you with some of my favorite grass volleyball advice is just be better and suck less. So we'll see you guys this weekend. We'll see you guys the weekend after, and we'll see you at Boat Ride.